In this video, we're going to be looking at using Google Sites to create a stylish and professional website. Google Sites is available to all students as part of the G Suite package that we use in school. Now, Google Sites is very, very easy to use, and it requires no coding or programming knowledge whatsoever, so it's very accessible to everyone. Now, as you can see here on the screen, these are the different things that I'm going to be showing you in this video. So in the description to the video, I'm going to add links to each one of those sections so that if you already know how to use one of those particular features and you want to look at something you don't know, you can jump straight to that section of the video. In this video, we're going to be looking at when it's appropriate to make a website. Now, firstly, you can't make a website for every single task that you're set in school. But we're going to look at some examples of where it is appropriate to create a website and when it can be a very effective use of the skills that you're going to develop here. So a website has many different purposes, but essentially it's a way to bring together different types of media, including videos, images, text, audio, online documents, and we can bring it all together in one place and share it on the World Wide Web. Now, you could create a website to submit work to a teacher for a project that you've been assigned, which is a more interesting way than just a word processed document or presentation. We could also use it as a means of writing a blog or a journal and keeping it online and sharing it with other people. Or you could create a website as a digital or e-portfolio, which you can later in life use for job applications or university applications to show off work that you've actually carried out in your time in school. So I'm going to show you some examples now of effective use of Google Sites. So here's my first example of my use of Google Sites. Now, I was asked by a science teacher to create a project on plants, not specifically a website, but just to somehow get across the information that I've learned to my teacher about plants. So I thought, right, I'll create a website. And here you can see I've got a very simple home page with some text, some buttons which link to other pages, an image carousel so they can scroll through images. I've got my links up here to my other page, which is plant parts. And I've just got some text, some images. And then I've also incorporated here some text, collapsible text so you can hide it, a presentation, which if you click on the link goes to my photosynthesis presentation, and also a video that I found online that would be useful. So that's one example. That's if I was asked to create a project and I thought, right, I'll use my web design skills to create a website to make it more interesting. Another example here is a holiday blog where I'm simply just every day writing about my holiday, and I can just keep expanding and adding to that as the holiday goes on. And I've also here got a digital portfolio. Now, this would be, here I've got all of my areas of learning at the top that I've covered since I've been in school. And on my first page, let's say I'm giving this to, I'm applying for a place in university, and they say, right, talk about some of the work that you've carried out or some of the best work that you've done in your time in school. And I can say, right, well, I'll go on to SciTech here. And here is an example of where I gave a piece of information to other people in my class how to write a perfect exam answer. Here are some logos that I created in my digital technology lessons. And similarly, if I go to humanities, I might say, right, well, here's a presentation I created on Franz Ferdinand. And all they have to do, rather than having horrible printouts, is they can simply click here. It shows them the presentation, they can have a look. It just makes you look that much more professional and ahead of the game. So there's some examples. Now, the one that I'm going to work through and show you how I created to develop your skills is this presentation, is this website here. Now what we're going to look at is how to actually create your Google site via Google Drive. Now, as I said, I'm going to be showing you how I made the plants website, but the skills that you learn, you can apply to any other scenario. So once you have the skills, you should be able to use it for any other purpose. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go to my Google Drive folder, and I'm going to click on New, and I'm going to choose Folder. Now, it's important to set up a folder because all of the assets or the different images and videos that you use in your website can all be stored in this same folder so that it makes it easy to find them when you need to insert them. So I'm going to call this Plants Website. Nice and simple. So when I come onto Google Drive, I'm not thinking, oh, where did I create my website? Where did I save it? I know it's in my Plants Website folder. And now to actually create the site, I go to New, and I'm going to More, and I choose Google Sites. Very simple. And now, anytime that I go offline and come back online, if I go to Google Drive, I simply locate the Plants Website folder, and my website will be in it. And what I'm going to do firstly is name this Plants, because if you don't name it, you can't search for it within Google Drive. So I've named that Plants, and I simply click away here, and it's as simple as that. Now what we're going to do is look at choosing a theme for our website. Now the theme, when we choose it, it doesn't make a massive amount of difference, but the main thing that it does is it allows us to choose which font type that we use and also which color scheme we use. Now, remember, Google Sites is just a very simple way of creating websites, so we don't have lots and lots of options, but it can still look really effective and professional. So if I look at my existing Plants website here that I've created, the color scheme that I've chosen is green. And as you can see, most of the elements, even things here, the little circles to show how many images are in my image carousel, the buttons, the dividers, the text backgrounds are green. And you can't have multiple colors, you can only have one. So choosing your color for your theme is quite important. So if I go to my working website here, it's very simple. You have three options: Insert, Pages, and Themes. And you can choose, I'm not going to go through them in a lot of detail, you can experiment with that yourself, but you have these options here. Now the one that I'm going to choose is Impression, which means that I can choose from 3 different font styles, and I'm going to keep it as it is, as capital. And I'm also going to then choose a color. Now you can choose your own individual color here by clicking on the paint bucket, and you can choose any of these range of colors here. You simply click on a color type that you like, and then you can be a bit more specific. But I'm just going to choose, for this example, green. So I click the green, and you can see my underline here has automatically turned green. And that's how you choose your theme. And you can change the theme at any point. You can do it at the very end if you like, or you can do it in the beginning, or you can do it in the middle. You can change it as you go through. But it's just something which allows you to pick your color schemes and your font type. Now we're going to be looking at working with headers, and the header is simply the top of your web page. Now, there's only a few ways that we can really work with headers. We don't have that many options in Google Sites, but we can still make it look really effective. So I'm going to talk you through the few options that we have. So if I go to my Plants website here, on my homepage, what I've got, the header is actually just an image that relates to the theme of my website. So I've just got an image here for my header. But what I've then done is put a text box directly underneath it and put the title there. Now, if I show you another option that you have, is simply, if I look at my Plant Parts webpage, what I've got is the same image for my header, but I've got the title over the top. And you can see that I've also done this for photosynthesis. Now, I've kept my image the same across all of my web pages just to maintain consistency. It's the theme and the house style of my website. You don't have to use the same image on every single web page within your website, but I've done that just to maintain consistency. And I think it looks a bit more professional, but that's down to you. That's a personal preference. So you could use a different image depending on what the specific web page is about. But that's entirely up to you, as I say. So if I go into my working website here, you can see at the moment it says your page title, and I've got the generic default image in the background. Now, the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to first change my image. Now, there's a few ways that you can do this. If you click on change image, you can upload a photo that you've saved or an image that you've saved, and that's absolutely fine. Or you can go to select image, and you can do this by going on search, and you can type in a Google search there, or you can get one directly from Google Drive, your albums, etc. The way that I'm going to actually do it though, as I say, if you do a search for plants, you'll see that you can find different images here. You click one and you press select, and that becomes your background. But the other way of doing it is we can't simply copy and paste like we would in lots of other types of software and other programs. So when I go to change image, I'm going to select image. And if I do a Google search here and type in plants, and I go to images, if I find the one that I want, I can scroll down, and this is the one that I used here. If I click on it and then right click here and choose not copy image, but copy image address, that then can go into my select images by URL, paste in there, it will load the image, press select, and there it is. And it's as simple as that. That's how you do it. And what I can do then, so to get this, as you can see here, this type of header, all I do is I change this to plants. However, what I did was I inserted a text box, which will go directly underneath it, and I'll write the word plants. I'm going to make this a title. I'm going to center align it. And then over here, you can see the artist palette, which is going to allow me to change my options. Now I can do an image in the background if I want, but I'm going to choose emphasis, and it will automatically use the color scheme that I chose in my theme earlier on. So if I click here now, I don't need two titles. I'm going to click within the text box and press on the bin icon. And that's how I achieved that. So the only other real options that you have with headers are, if you click on header type, you can choose to have cover, which makes it extremely large. You can choose to have large banner, which is slightly bigger than the one that I've used. Choose banner, which makes it slightly smaller again, or you can just have title only. But that's entirely up to you. That's your preference. So not many options that we can use, but you can see there's a few different ways of using headers on your website. So give any of those a try. Now we're going to look at adding text, and this is really, really simple, really straightforward. We can do this very quickly. I'm going to just show you an example from my website. So as you can see, there's different areas on the website where I've used text. Some of them are part of layouts like this, which are pre-made, and I'll show you those later on in the video. But for simply adding a box of text, which like you can see here under my title, I just want a simple box of text. What I can do, I can literally go to insert and text box, and it will naturally put it beneath the last thing that I did. So I'm going to just paste in the text that I used previously. But from here, there's a couple of options that we can use. So we have the option to change the type of text. Now, this is where it varies from things that we're used to, like Google Slides and Google Docs, PowerPoint and Microsoft Word, Publisher, where we can just change the size of the text that we want to whatever we want. We only have limited options. So if you choose title, it makes everything capitalized and very large. If we use heading, again, capitalized, but slightly smaller. So if it's a subheading, it usually takes on the theme color, which is green in my theme for my website, as you can see here, or you can have small. But that is very small. I'd use that for something like captions under an image. But if we just use normal text, that's the size that I'm going to use. So you can change the size, but it all depends on which of these options that you choose. You can't choose a specific size font. If I want to make it bold, I can make it bold, or I can simply just make one part of it bold or italic. We know how that works. I can also make it, I can change the alignment. I can make it left, middle, center align, justified text. And essentially that's it. So you also have the choice to make bullet points if you want to as well. You can use numbered bullet points or standard bullet points and blah, 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 blah. So really simple, that's text. And that's just a simple text box option, insert and text. Now we're going to be looking at adding collapsible text. And collapsible text is really useful on pages where you have a lot of text, and it could make it look a bit boring, or maybe it could look a bit intimidating as there's lots of information to read. So the best way for me to explain it is to actually show you an example. So if I go onto my plants website, and on the photosynthesis page, there's actually a lot of text compared to images. So if I look on my plant parts page, you can see that it's mostly large images with some small pieces of text underneath. But because my photosynthesis page has got a lot more text, I don't want it to look boring. So what I've used is collapsible text. Now what you can see is that there's a title. So the user sees the title, they click on the expand option, and it tells them more information. And you can see that I've done this in these different sections, like so. So this is really easy. So what I'm going to do is go onto my working website here, and I'm simply going to go to the insert option, and if I scroll down, you can see collapsible text. It allows you to put your title in. It will automatically format it as a heading. You can change that if you want to. You can change it to bold, italic, center align, whatever you want to do, and then you put your text in here. And once you formatted it how you want it to, it ends up like mine. And that's a really simple and easy way of making sure that it doesn't look too text heavy on your web page. Now we're going to be looking at adding images to a web page. Now there's a number of ways you can do this. You can either do this as part of an image carousel or as part of a pre-made layout, which I'll be showing you later in the video. But if you just want to add an image to a web page, this is how we do it. So if I show you my plant parts web page here, under the header, I've just got a nice picture showing the different parts of a plant. And the way that we do this is very simple. So I'll delete this here. If I go to insert and choose images, I can either choose upload, which will prompt me to choose one from my hard drive or a USB device, or I can go to select. And this is exactly the same process as I showed you earlier for adding images to a header. You can either do it as part of an image search here, plant parts, search like that, or you can do a Google image search in a separate tab, and I've searched for plant parts, I found the image that I want, and then I right click, and remember, it's not copy image, it's copy image address, because we're taking the URL. So if I copy image address, go back in and search by URL, paste the URL in there, and insert image. And then I can drag it around here to put it in the center if I want. I can resize it, whatever you want to do. And that's how you add an image. Now we're going to be looking at adding an image carousel. And an image carousel is a really cool feature that allows us to reduce the overall size of our web page. And the best way for me to explain this to you is by showing you. So I'm going to show you a real life example on TripAdvisor. And this is for a restaurant, and I want to be able to look at all the different images that people have put up. But rather than having all those images, one after the other, going down the web page, which would take up a lot of space, we can simply have an image carousel. And it allows you to just simply click and scroll back and forth through the different images like so. So that's what we're going to be looking at doing. So the way that I've used it is I've simply got a carousel of images about plants. So I'll show you how to do that now really, really easily. So if I go to my working website here and I go to Insert, if you scroll down to the image carousel option, you can see that it comes up with Insert Images and you click plus. Now you must have at least 2 images for an image carousel, but you can have as many as you want. So if I click on Add Image, I can either upload from my hard drive or from a USB device, or I can do the same as we did with the headers earlier, or simply insert in an image, select image. I can go on to Google Image Search and type in plants on there, or I can go by URL and do what I did before. So I find the image that I want. Remember, copy image address because we're taking the web address for that image. Go into my page, paste the URL and insert image, and it will load it up. And then when I'm ready to do the next one, I click plus, select image, and I'll just take this one at random, right click, copy image address, plants, let's go in there and insert image. So the good thing with this as well is that when you put these images into the carousel, it makes them all the same size, which is really, really useful. So that's a nice benefit of using an image carousel. Now, as I say, you can add as many as you want, but I'm going to press insert, and now my image carousel is there. I can move it, I can resize it, and you can't actually look through the image carousel until you go into preview mode, like here. So if I click on preview, then you can check to see how it works. And that is an image carousel. Now we're going to be looking at using layouts, and layouts have a number of benefits to using them, but the 2 best reasons is that they save time because they automatically format and lay everything out for us. Also, it maintains consistency. I'll show you some examples of the benefits, and then I'll show you how to actually use the layouts. So if we go into, first of all, I'm going to show you my digital portfolio example again. And if I go to my SciTech page here, now you can see that I've actually used layouts here. So the image or the document, you can put an image, document, video, whatever you want in this particular box here. But whatever that is here, and the title and the text is the same all the way down. And if I show you an example of a holiday blog, again, it's the same thing. Image, title, text. Image, title, text. Image, title, text. And I don't have to actually change that because it formats it for me. So it's a real time saver and maintains consistency. So if I go into my plants working website here, if I go to insert, you can see that there's a specific section called layouts. Now this icon here, which you can see on all of them, this icon essentially means that you can put any type of media in there. It could be a file from Google Drive. It could be an image, a video, whatever. That's what that represents there. So you can see the gray bar there means that it will be a title. So you can see here, that's a title, that's a title, that's a title. And then the lines here represent normal text. So you can see how the layouts work before you actually put them in. So this one here will allow me to put 3 images with titles underneath each image and then some text underneath, which is what I've actually used here on my plants website. And the way that you do this is really simple. You choose the one you want and click on it. Then you can add your titles by simply typing the text into those boxes there, and you click on the text there and there. The way that you add your media is totally up to you. You click on add and it will allow you to choose a file from Google Drive, which I'll show you later in the video. You can select an image in the same way that we have for all of the other different image types that we've looked at in the video. You can also add a video from YouTube. You can also add a map from Google Maps, a calendar. It's up to you. And it's as simple as that. And then if I want to keep adding them down and down and down, like it's a blog entry, I simply do that. If I want to choose a different one, I can click on there, and you can see how those layouts work. And as I said, they're massive, massive time savers, and they also really do help you to maintain consistency. So try out a layout for yourself. Now we're going to look at embedding a video from YouTube. Now, embedding means that the video will actually play in our own Google site, even though it is from YouTube. It's not a link which we click on and it takes us to YouTube. It's actually playing on our website, which is brilliant. So that's why we're going to embed it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you the example on my plants website, which is on the photosynthesis page. And if I scroll down here, you can see that I've got a video. And when I click it, it plays. And I can full screen it. But remember, this is actually playing within my website. So it means I don't have to click on a link to open a new tab. It's embedded in my site. So the way that we do this is really, really easy. You go to Insert, you go to YouTube, and you can either search within YouTube here, although I find it's better to find your own video first. Make sure it's appropriate and make sure that it's actually relevant to what you want to show on your web page, and then I'll show you how to copy and paste the link to it. So in here, here's the video that I found that I want to share, and all I need to do now is copy and paste the URL, go back into here, paste the link there and press search, and it shows that exact video. Click on the video, select, and my video is now ready to embed. Now remember, it won't play unless you go into preview mode. So if I go on preview mode,
photosynthesis, it is not.
And that's it. It's as simple as doing that to put a video onto your website. Now we're going to be looking at embedding a file from Google Drive. Now, embedding the file means that we can actually just view it on the web page. It's not a hyperlink which opens up in a new tab. It's simply viewing the document, in this case, Google Slides, on the actual web page itself. And this can be used with any of your Google Drive documents whatsoever. It could be an image, it could be slides, Google Sheets, Google Docs, whatever. So I'm going to show you my example first. And if I go to my plants website here, on the photosynthesis page, I've actually got my presentation here. Now I can just simply play the presentation on the web page itself, so I don't have to leave. But there is the option here, and this appears automatically, to open it up in a new tab, so you can view it entirely in a new tab. So it's really simple to do this. I go onto my working site here and I go to Insert. I choose Drive, and I can look through my folders here if I want to, or if I've named it appropriately, which I have, I can type in photosynthesis, press enter, and choose the file there. So I can now move it to where I want it to go, and I can resize it, but essentially it's there. Now you can't play the presentation or see what it looks like until you go into preview mode. So you go into preview mode, and there's my presentation, and it's as simple as that. And as I said, you can do this for any document. So it could be a Google Sheets spreadsheet, could be a Google Docs Word document, word process document, or a Google Slides presentation. It's totally up to you, but it's a nice way to get your work onto your website. Now we're going to be looking at adding buttons to your website. Now, buttons are very versatile. They could be used so that when the user clicks on the button, it takes them to an online document, or it could take them to a new website, for example, YouTube or Twitter or Facebook. Or in the example that I'm going to show you here, it could be used to simply navigate between the pages within your website. So let's have a look at the example here on my plants website. So if I scroll down to the bottom of the home page, you can see here that I've got buttons which simply link to my other pages. So if I click plant parts, it takes me to the plant parts page. And the way that we create these is very simple. So if I go to my working site here, I've added another page called plant parts. So if I go to insert and I scroll down and find the button option, it'll ask me to name the button. So I'm going to call this plant parts. And the link, you could either copy and paste a URL, for example, youtube.com, you could copy and paste that into there, or if you've got other web pages within your site, it automatically brings those up for you as an option. So I click plant parts and I click insert. And now my button's automatically being created with the theme color. And I've got two options here. There's not a lot that you can do with it, but you can either have it just as outlined, like so, just as text, or you can have it filled. And that's the option I'm going to choose. You can resize it then so that you can read all of your text. And then, as I say, you can move it to wherever you want it to be. But that is as simple as that. Creating a button and linking it to another page. Now we're going to be looking at adding dividers. This is a really simple thing to do, and it kind of organizes your web pages a little bit. So if you've got different sections within a page, different sections of information, it's quite nice to put a divider in there just to show that it is a separate section. And I'll show you an example of this now on my plant site here. So at the top here, this section is all about the text information. And then before my presentation and my video, I just wanted to put a divider in there, as you can see here, to separate the sections. So the way that we do this is really easy. If I want to divide a section of information here, the top bit and a bit that's going to go beneath, all I do is I click divider and it puts it in there like that. It's really simple, but it's quite an effective way of separating your information on a particular page. So the color that it will be is automatically the color that you chose for your theme. Similar to the buttons, it automatically puts it as that color. And that's all you need to do. Now we're going to be looking at adding a website logo and a favicon. Now the logo for your website simply shows in the top left corner. It's just an image that you choose. It shows in the top left corner of every single web page on your website. So it's essentially your brand. In the same way that if you are on YouTube, you'll always see the YouTube logo in the top left corner. Now, a favicon you may not have heard of, so the best way for me to explain this is by actually showing you. So if I go to my Digital Learning Zone website, you can see on the tab where it's open, you can see the logo there, and that is the favicon. Now it doesn't have to be the same as your website logo, but that's just the way that I like to do it. So you can also see here where I've actually bookmarked my website to my web browser. You can see that the logo appears there as well. So that's what a favicon is. And to do these two things is really, really simple. If I go to my working website here, if I go to settings and I click on brand images, if I click, you can either go on to select and you can take an image from Google Images, or you can upload it like I'm going to show you here. So you upload, you select where your file is and you double click it, and then it will load in here. Also, if I then do the same for favicon, I'm just going to use exactly the same image, double click, and then it's there. And all I have to do then is close that, and you can see that it's appeared here. Now, it won't show here until you've actually published your website, which we're going to look at in a later video. So remember, the favicon won't show up until you've actually published it. Okay, so let's say that now you're at the point where you've created your website, you've got all your pages ready, It looks exactly as you want it to. You've got all of your content. We're going to look now. Obviously, we need to publish your website, because if you don't publish it, it's not available online. So you have to publish it for other people to see your site. We're also going to look at a few other things, sharing your website with other people so that you can collaborate and edit it in real time. Also, I'm going to show you how to preview your website, and also help and guidance if you need it. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is how to rename a page. Now, this does trip people up, because if I'm on my plant parts page here, if I want to change this to photosynthesis, if I've changed the name here, if I show you on my pages panel here, you'll still notice that it says plant parts. Now, what you need to do in order to change it here is very simple, but often people make this mistake. They don't change it here, they simply change the title of the page. So you simply click on your options, you go to properties, and then you rename it. And by doing that, it actually changes it here as well. So that's just something that could trip you up. Now we're going to look at previewing your website. This is just a really useful thing to be able to do so that you can actually see what your website looks like when it will be published. And the way that we do this is very simple. While you're still editing your Google site here, if you click on the preview icon, it will actually open it up and show you what it will look like when it's published. Now, the good thing about Google Sites is that it is compatible with portable devices. So you can see what it would actually look like if you were to view the website on a mobile phone. You can also see what it would look like on a tablet, and then you can see what it would look like on a laptop or PC. So that's just a really useful thing to be able to have a look at, because you can then see what it will look like to the user once it's published. But that's a really nice thing to be able to do. Now we're going to be looking at sharing a website for collaborative working. Now, the great thing about Google Sites, as is the case for most of the Google products that we use in school, is that we can work on this collaboratively in real time. So you can have more than one person working on your site from different locations at exactly the same time. So it's really, really, really useful to be able to do this. So the way that we do this is very simple. If I go to my Google site and I click on this icon here, share with others. Now, you must make sure when you share this with people with an @baseligschool.com account. If you share this to anything else, then it won't work. So you have to share this with another pupil from the school with an @baseligschool.com account. So once you do this, when you share it with somebody else, they will get full editing rights, so they can add pages, add content, delete content, whatever the case may be. And the way that you do this is you click on add people and groups, you type in their specific @baseligschool.com email address, and you press done. And once you've done that, they will get a notification. They can then access the file and start working on it with you. And that's as simple as that. So now is the moment that you've been waiting for. Your website is done, it's completely finished, and you're ready to publish your site. Now remember, unless you publish it, nobody will be able to access your site online. So the way that we do this is very easy. If we go to Google Sites, there's a big blue publish button here. You click publish, and it'll ask you to name your site. Now I'm going to just call this plants. Somebody's already taken it, so I'm going to call this science plants. That's absolutely fine. Nobody else has got that web address, so I can use that. So all I need to do now is press publish, and this will then be ready for you to send to other people to give them the link to view your site. And if you want a really easy way, if you just copy this URL it will actually prompt them to edit it, but they won't have the rights to do so. So if you send them this link, it won't work. What you need to do is you need to copy published site link. And once you do that, you can click on copy link. And then, as I say, you can send it in an email to somebody. However you want to get that to somebody else to view the site. You can add the link to a Google Classroom assignment as well. Or you can post it onto a Google Classroom stream, whatever the case may be. You can publish it anywhere. But what I'm going to show you now, if I paste the link in here and press enter, as you can see now, the favicon appears because the website is published. So that's as simple as that. And once you've done that, it's ready to go and give to other people and let people see your work. Finally, we're going to have a look at the help section. Now, if there's anything in this video that hasn't been covered and you might be struggling to do something on sites, then there is actually an option to have help built into Google Sites. So if you click on this option here, there's two ways that you can do it. You can either take a tour where it'll guide you through the different sections and how you add content and move things around, which is very useful. Or if there's anything more intricate that you need help with, if you click on the help option here, you can actually type in your issue, and there's many tutorials and lots of guidance here to help you with any problems that you might have from Google themselves. So if you are struggling with anything and there's something that I haven't covered, which is entirely possible, that option is there for you. And as I said, if you don't want to go through the video again, and you can just simply click on more, take a tour, and it will guide you through lots of the things that I've already shown you. So hopefully now that's given you a good insight to Google Sites. As I say, you can use it for lots of different things. And hopefully now you'll have developed skills where you can use this both in school and in the future. So I wish you the best of luck with your Google site.